Hey people, how are you doing today? I'm Makeda Valletta on my YouTube page, Makeda Valletta Travels, and I am talking to you live from Ecuador. Okay, I'm in Guayaquil, Ecuador. I arrived here late last night, and I'm not sure if I am happy about taking this trip. Okay, I'm actually kind of miserable right now, but sometimes things change around. So let me first just show you my Airbnb, because I always like to do that because I'm not a hotel stayer when I travel. So let me flip the camera around. Okay, so this is the Airbnb that I rented, which of course is not representative of how most people are living around here in this neighborhood. But got kitchen area, which I'm not going to cook while I'm here because I don't cook in other people's kitchens on vacation, but there's a kitchen. And living room. Got this cool little bedroom down here. And then the bathroom, just how I like it. No tub, and no shower curtains. Okay, so this is the Airbnb. I can't remember how much it was per night. It might have been like $38, $40 or something. Okay, so while it is very nice in here, it's not so beautiful outside. But there's this, little balcony here with this grill, and come outside. And if you can see, there's a gate right there blocking off the street. I'm gonna talk about that a little later. So, okay, it's hot out here. So let me go back inside. Okay. So got a bunch of things to talk about. First of all, hold on a second. I came here yesterday from Chicago, and I had a 10-hour layover in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. Most of you may not. During that layover, I went and got my hair done and did schoolwork because I'm a graduate student and I had work to do. So my layover was productive and okay. I arrived here at 10:30 last night, and I've never been to Ecuador, but I've been to other Spanish-speaking countries: Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, Costa Rica. Are there any other Spanish-speaking countries I went to? I think maybe that's it. I don't know. Outside of Spain. But anyhow, so going through customs was quick. And I was told by my Airbnb host that I should not take Uber because people get kidnapped in Ubers and stuff. And I don't know if I believe him, because honestly, when I travel, hold on a minute. When I travel, I prefer to use Uber if a country has Uber, because otherwise, people try to gyp you and rip you off when they know you're not from there. When people know you're a tourist, especially you're American, I'm sure it happens to Canadians and Europeans, people want to up the price, right? And I hate that. They don't do that to you in the U.S. They don't be like, oh, you're a foreigner, let me charge you way more money. We don't do that. But a lot of other countries do that. So I prefer Uber because I can just put the address in. I already know I don't have to deal with cash and exchanging money and them changing the price, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's well tracked. So I prefer Uber, but I listened to him. They told me that the taxi would be like $3 or something from the airport because the airport is so close. Now, granted, I don't know if they use, I'm confused about the money here because I remember before I came here, I was watching YouTube videos and everybody said, you should have cash because most people don't take cards and you need to have small bills. Like even if you have like a $20 bill, a lot of times they can't give you change. So I went to the ATM to get out cash before I left the airport. And I think I took out like $100. They gave me all 20s. And so I asked the host of the Airbnb, should they have change? Because I have a $20 bill. And I remember seeing on YouTube that they don't ever have change. And she told me yes. Okay. So another thing is that the addresses, whenever I travel to any Latin American country, like the countries that is named, the addresses are never accurate. They're always confusing, okay? The people that live here don't know the address. The cabs don't know the address, which is another reason why I love to use Uber. Because I don't have to try to, if I'm not from here, if I'm from here or not, if you're a cab driver, you shouldn't be asking me for directions, right? I remember before there was Uber, I grew up in New York City. We always had taxi culture in New York City, and you never had to explain to them how to get places, okay? So, I don't like that. So anyhow, I had the address to where I was going, which was close to the airport. They wrote out instructions, okay? I showed it to the taxi driver. He didn't understand it, so we called the host. The host explained it to him. She explained it to him in detail. Then we get in the car, we drive, we get close, and he was confused again. So we had to call again, and then she explained it. And then, we were driving down the street. Okay, this is different. I know Spanish-speaking countries love gates and stuff, right? But we were driving down the street that was, first of all, let me say, when I left the airport, it was nothing beautiful that I was looking at. Now, I don't want to judge a city based on that, because a lot of times when you leave an airport, like if somebody left LaGuardia or JFK in New York, you don't see beauty at that point. You have to go to other parts of the city. So I don't want to judge it because of that. So it was desolate. We're driving down this street, and the taxi driver stops at a place where there's a gate. Like, we're like on a regular street with sidewalks, right? And in the middle of the street, there's like a gate. Like the way that you would have a gate to like some type of parking garage or something that was closed. So apparently, we had to call the host, and she had to use a remote control to open the gate. So I was like, so then we go in the gate, and it's like it's not even a gated community, okay? It's like a gated block, okay? The block had a gate on it on both ends, right? Never seen that before. So I get here, of course I speak some Spanish. I'm not completely fluent. Like, I couldn't do this video in Spanish, right? But I understand a lot of Spanish. I've been studying Spanish all my life. So, the host, like, she was explaining everything to me. And before I got here, I told her that I was pressed for time. That when I get there, I need to get to work. I have an assignment that's due at a certain time, and I don't have long to talk. Because when you get Airbnbs where the host wants to meet you when you come, which I hate. I don't like that. I hate Airbnbs where the host wants to be there when I come there, because then they want to give you a tour and explain all these things to you, and I just want them to shut up. Like, after I'm done traveling, I don't want you to have to be talking to you, especially not another language, because then I got to try to understand. Like, I just don't be wanting to do that. I don't like it. But I told her that beforehand because I knew that's what it was going to be. And she said, okay. But then still, she's in here showing me everything, showing me the refrigerator. I can see the refrigerator. I can see the oven. I can see the stove. I don't need you to show me that. I can see the bathroom. I don't need to know that, right? So she's showing me all this stuff. Oh, this, it was annoying me. Finally, she leaves. Initially, when I come to a place, sometimes I don't, when I first arrive, I'm not happy with it, right? Especially when it's in the Caribbean or South America. Like, a lot of times, one of the reasons why I moved to Chicago is because I love a beautiful city, right? I definitely love a beautiful city. I don't like looking at cities that look run down and dusty. And a lot of times when I've gone to the Caribbean, to South America, Central America, that's how it looks. Mexico City was not like that, though. Mexico City is definitely one of my favorite cities that I would want to go back to. Mexico City was absolutely not like that. It was a big, beautiful, modern city with old, beautiful architecture, cheap Ubers, food everywhere. I like to be someplace where I can walk places. I feel trapped, whether I'm in America or not in America. I feel trapped when I can't just walk outside and get what I need. When I have to be dependent on somebody to drive me somewhere or something. I hate that, right? Or you got to rent a car. Like, I don't like that, okay? I like to be able to walk around and do what I need to do. Get some sun on my skin, right? So, let me see, make sure I'm saying all the things. Okay, so I had a list of things I wanted to go through. So let me go back. Okay, when I first got off the plane, okay, I was wondering, is it going to be like Mexico, where they're spraying you with hand sanitizer? But so I wondered if they're going to do that. So in some countries, like I was in St. Martin in May, they made you use hand sanitizer. Made you use it when you got off the plane. And I absolutely do not put that artificial hand sanitizer on my skin for any reason at all. And I have not since 1997, okay? So I travel with my own natural one just in case they try to tell me I have to use it. I'm like, oh, I have my own. Because I'd rather, the natural stuff is not bad. But the Purell and the hand sanitizer made by big corporations absolutely destroys your microbiome and your health. Despite the fact that it's full of cancer-causing chemicals, right? But here in Ecuador, they were actually giving lollipops up when we got off the plane, which I don't eat lollipops. Like, to me, that's for kids, okay? Like, I don't know why, but like everybody was taking a lollipop. And I'm like, it's very interesting, okay? Because if you may follow me here, you may not follow my other work. But for those of you who don't know, I'm a nutritionist, I'm a trainer. And everywhere I go, I'm studying food systems, access to good quality food. I'm looking at what they're eating. Because one of the biggest myths is that the food in the U.S. is so bad, everybody else has better food standards and better food. That is absolutely not the case. Which is one of the main things that made me want to go to Europe. Because Europe was not on my mind at all. But what made me want to go to Europe was that the food was better. Because every time I travel someplace in the Caribbean or something, I feel like I'm going backwards. People talk about their stomach hurts when they come to America and eat. My stomach hurts when I come to these places and eat because they're cooking with fake, they're cooking with margarine, they're cooking with canola oil, everything is fried up, and super sweet. Like in the morning, I like to drink tea. I drink yerba mate tea, which is actually a tea from South America, but I never see it here. Never saw yerba mate in Colombia. Don't see it in Ecuador. But yerba mate is a caffeinated tea from South America. And so I take the yerba mate and I mix it with a good quality matcha in my milk. I mix the yerba mate with a good quality chai in my milk, right? Or I get a matcha latte, which matcha is a green tea powder from Japan. So those are two things I drink in the morning for my caffeine. I do not like coffee. But Spanish-speaking countries are big coffee drinkers, right? So their tea is always lacking. So I always travel with my yerba mate, and then I try to see if I can find someone that makes chai, and I put the yerba mate in there to get my caffeine in the morning. Now, some countries have Starbucks like they do in Colombia. I don't think they have it in Ecuador. If they do, they don't have it in this town. So, and that they have Starbucks in Mexico too. It depends on where you are in the country, of course, right? Not everywhere, but major cities. So here they have Juan Valdez, okay? Juan Valdez, okay? That's the same thing that's in Colombia as Juan Valdez. Now, so I ordered my chai latte from Juan Valdez, and I put my yerba mate in there. But that chai is so disgusting. It's nasty. It doesn't even taste like tea. It tastes like a bunch of chemicals. I mean, that's always the situation when in Spanish-speaking countries. Tea is not their thing. It's like, why even try, right? So also I noticed when I was in the airport, there were no black people working in the airport. Only Mestizo and Indio, okay? So in case you don't know, there's a lot of black people in Ecuador. Now, when I leave Guayaquil, I'm going to Cuenca. And Cuenca is a town with a huge Afro-Ecuadorian population. It says online that Guayaquil has one too, but I didn't see any black people except for when I left the airport in the taxi, there was a mother in the street holding her baby, and I had the windows down in the taxi. The taxi driver put the window up, and I didn't understand why. And then I see this woman with a baby is knocking on my glass, right? And this other black woman, when I say black woman, okay, because in Latin America, black people are black, okay? J-Lo's not black in Latin America. Okay, so this woman was dark-skinned, okay? Because in Latin America, black, negra, is somebody who's dark-skinned. Somebody like me is morena, okay? And those associations don't just have to do with skin color. It also has to do with how they see you in society, which is messed up, right? And in Latin America, negra is looked at as being on the bottom, right? Hold on. And they almost seem invisible in Latin America, right? I've done videos on that in the past. That's a whole other conversation. I'll get into that later. But I noticed that because I noticed when I got off the plane, I didn't see any black people in the airport, none working there. Because when I'm going to Cuba, when I'm going to Colombia, you see black people in the airport working there, right? Didn't see that here. Okay. But yeah, okay, the address is always a problem. I said that. And this morning, I have been absolutely irritated, like feeling like, why did I come here? Okay, now, again, it's my first day. I haven't ventured out yet. And based on what's going on, I may not venture out. Okay, I actually kind of want to leave here sooner. Hold on. So, So the thing that drives me crazy is that, whenever I've been in Latin American countries, and I can't just say it's Latin American, because when I went to Haiti, I didn't go to Haiti with a group of people. I didn't go to Haiti by myself. I went to Haiti with a group of people. Usually I travel solo. But when I went to Haiti, that was a long time ago. I went to Haiti in 2010. That was 12 years ago, right? There was no Uber back then or anything anyway. And I was in a group. So it could be the same way in Haiti. It probably is, right? But I can say, it's like the address. It drives me crazy because I could put the address okay, so Latin America has something called Rappi, right? They have it in Colombia. They have it in Mexico. And they have it in Ecuador. It's this company called Rappi where you can order whatever you want. Food, stuff from the drugstore, stuff from the liquor store, toys for your kids, flowers, whatever from this app, right? And when I put the address in earlier today, it was giving me a different address. And so I'm emailing my host. I'm texting my host on WhatsApp. He's in another country. And he's telling me, oh, that address isn't right. So I copied and pasted the address from Airbnb and put that address in. And then I still had to explain all these things to him, right? And I told you there was a gate that we had to go through last night just to get on this block. So the thing about the gate is that the gate's closed all day. Okay, this block is closed off with a gate on both ends, okay, all day. Except that in the daytime, there's a guard there who will let you in the gate, all right? At nighttime, I have to open the gate with the remote control. Never seen anything like that before, okay? Like I said, it's not a gated community, it's a gated block, okay? So, the address, I'm trying to order something on Uber, I'm trying to order something, it was always putting up, the address that would come up was not the address that I was putting in, okay? So my host is like, oh yeah, well, Ecuador hasn't allowed Google Maps to fully map everything yet. And the addresses here aren't like the States. And I'm like, yeah, I've had this address situation. Like when I was in Cuba, I've been to Cuba 5 times. In Cuba, not only do you have to remember your address, you have to remember where the fuck you came from. Because in Cuba, there's no street signs. They even tell you what street you're on, okay? They have rocks in the corners, on the ground, with numbers on it. It's like, you really have to know. Because if you don't, you might not never get home. So that's kind of frustrating to me, which is why I do like when I was in Mexico City, let me say, because not everywhere in Mexico has Ubers. Mexico City or in Colombia and Cali, Medellin. I didn't use Ubers in Cartagena, but Cali and Medellin I did. And, it's easy because you just put the address in, they take you there. You don't have to explain nothing to them, all of that. So the fact that I spent hours this morning back and forth with my host about this address situation, and I still couldn't tell you what the address is. So it's annoying to me because I don't want to venture out somewhere and then I can't get back because I don't know the address. Or I think I know the address and I tell the taxi driver and they're like, they don't know. That's going to be a problem. Of course, I can always call the co-host and have them explain it, but I don't like that, so that's making me a little miserable right now. Also, Guayaquil is not cheap, it's not as cheap as Colombia, for example. This is one of the reasons why I think I really like Colombia. Now, that is so nasty. Nasty. So, I'm going to be here for 2 days, and then I'm going to Cuenca. I hope I like Cuenca better. Cuenca is not as hot. But right now, I don't care about the heat. I just want to be someplace where I can get some good food. Now, the thing is too, when I travel, I'm always working. So coming here, and somebody could say, what made you come to Ecuador? Let me say why I came to Ecuador, okay? I came to Ecuador because I wanted to come to a country I had not been to yet, right? A lot of times I go to the same country several times, which is good because every single country, even the smallest island, has a lot of different parts that are completely different, have different foods, have different styles, different histories. So, I've been to Colombia maybe 6 times, I don't even know. Still not done exploring Colombia. I really like it. Been to Cuba 5 times. Been to Costa Rica several times on the Pacific and the Caribbean coast and the middle of the country. I was staying in Colombia for long periods of time. Not Colombia, Costa Rica. And I used to go to Costa Rica also before there was Uber, right? So I think to myself, I used to travel and do all this stuff with no Google Translate, with no Uber. It was fine. I remember going to Costa Rica by myself years ago. This also might be 2010 or 8 or 9 or something like that. Going to Costa Rica to teach a workshop. And I went by myself and I went from San Jose, which is in the center of the country, and took a bus to the Caribbean coast and didn't have no Google Maps. I mean, didn't have no Google Translate and didn't have no Uber, and I was fine. So now it's kind of like, now that we have these things, they feel like we can't function without it, right? But anyhow, I wanted to go to a country I never went to before. Now, Latin American countries have a very, in the Americas, have a very strong Afro population that is often invisible, right? And so Ecuador also has a black population. There's Afro-Ecuadorian music, Afro-Ecuadorian dance. Now, I must tell you, I don't know that much about Afro-Ecuadorian music and dance. I do know about Afro-Peruvian. I want to go to Peru, but I want to go to the coast of Peru so I can be around like where the black people are, because I love Afro-Peruvian music and dance, okay? But Ecuador, I don't know much about it, and I was watching some videos. I'll post them. I'm going to repost this to my YouTube page. So on my YouTube page, I'll repost some of the videos I was looking at, or you can search yourself and look at the history of Afro-Ecuadorians or their music and dance, because they use marimbas, which is like a West African kind of hand piano. And they use that in the Pacific coast of Colombia too, okay? But that's a part of their music here. They have a strong Afro musical and dance tradition. So I hope that when I go to Cuenca, I'll get to see some of that, especially because I kind of know somebody who I met on Clubhouse who lives in Cuenca, who I think he's American or Jamaican or something. But he lives there and he works a lot with the black community, so maybe I'll connect with something. So I came here because I wanted to go to a country I had not been to before. I got free tickets here, okay, because I flew here on Spirit, but I had a lot of miles or points or whatever on Spirit from previous Spirit flights. So I'm like, okay, what can I use those things for? I try to use it for like a cheap international flight. So Ecuador, right? I found a cheap flight here with my Spirit points. I should find out exactly how many points I used, and I could tell you, because it wasn't a lot. And then on my return flight, so I flew into Guayaquil. Prior, I had only heard of Quito, okay, because I know somebody who's like Ecuadorian, and they would talk about Quito, so that's all I knew about. And I knew about Cuenca a little bit. So I'll be in Guayaquil, and then I'm going to Cuenca on Friday. And I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna fly or take the bus. I kind of want to take the bus because it's cheaper, but it's like a 3-hour bus ride. I'm like, well, I can see the country. But then another thing to me to remember, and those of you who travel know this, those of you who haven't may not. But people in other countries, I feel like, especially in the Americas, they drive as if there's no driving rules, okay? And you feel like you're gonna die all the time. And you'll be driving on the side of a mountain, and people are doing dangerous shit. They're driving on the side of the mountain, and they're turning around talking to you in the back seat. I do not like that shit. I like safety, okay? I am not trying to die in a car accident. I am not trying to lose my legs, okay? I take driving very seriously. I feel like a lot of these countries, whether I was in Cuba, whether I was in Colombia. I remember when I was a kid, my mom told me how she came to Colombia in the 60s or something for like a student exchange program. And she told me horror stories like that, right? But I've experienced it. And, you know, people take life for granted because people do die. Sometimes when I'm in the cars, when I've been in Colombia and Cuba and the way people are driving, in Jamaica, wherever, everywhere outside the U.S., right? And I'm like so nervous about how they're driving. And I could look at the driver and I see this driver is an old man. So he's been driving like this his entire life and it hasn't killed him yet. But then at the same time, this is the first time for anything. And I don't want it to be when I'm in the car. So I don't like to be stressed out, you know, with that. So I was trying to debate, like, should I take the bus or should I fly? My Airbnb host told me that, you know, I should fly because he was saying that he's heard a lot of bad things about well, first he told me that the bus drivers here have no respect for the safety of the passengers. And me hearing that was enough because, like I said, I don't like reckless driving, okay? There's this bus in the U.S. that goes from New York to D.C., right? They call it the Chinese bus. I don't know what the company is, but they've been calling it the Chinese bus for a long time because it's owned by Chinese people. And they run back and forth between New York and D.C. My mom told me years ago not to take those buses because she was like, they're not unionized or anything. So that means they don't have any standards. And you have people who are overworked and it's just not good. My mom told me that, and I remember some years ago there was a few crashes on that Chinese bus, okay? because of them not paying attention or probably working too much and not sleeping. So I'm not trying to, too many people love me. I'm not trying to lose my life falling off the side of a mountain in a foreign country, okay? And I know somebody who that happened to, a friend of his. They were in a van in Honduras, and the van went over the side, and the person died. So I'm like, maybe I should just fly, right? So I may just fly. But on my return flight, so I'm probably gonna fly. Okay, it's like $50 to fly from here to Cuenca, which is a 40-minute flight, like 3-hour drive or so. And Cuenca is cheaper than Guayaquil. I hope I like it more, or I hope I like this place before I leave, because right now. So and then I am flying out of Quito. So I'm flying out of Quito, which is like a couple hours from Guayaquil, from Cuenca. So I'll probably like take a bus or something to Quito. Quito is cold, and it's supposed to be like the second most elevated city in Latin America or something. And I'm sure it's probably after Bogota. I think Bogota is the highest. Bogota is a city I want to go to. I've been to Colombia, but I've been to Medellin, Cartagena, and Cali. I've never been to Bogota, and I want to go to Bogota but Bogota is a colder city, and it's big, and people say, oh, they're so mean. But people say that about big city people anyway. I'm a big city person. I'm from New York, so I respect and like big cities. And I know that a lot of times big cities is where you really have access, okay? And because I'm a native New Yorker, and I'm from Manhattan, money-making Manhattan, Harlem to be exact, I like access, okay? Because even in New York City, access ain't the same. So I could say I'm from New York City. Sometimes I'm just from New York City. I'm from Manhattan, okay? That's where you get the most access in New York City to everything, right? So that's what I'm used to, and that's what I like. So that is the reason why I like big cities. So I'm sure that, and people say that people in Bogota are mean, but they say that about New Yorkers too, and I think that's completely untrue. So one day I will go to Bogota. But anyhow, on my flight out of Quito and back, I'm flying back to New York. I flew here from Chicago, flying to New York when I leave here. I got that. I'm flying on JetBlue, and that I also got with miles that I had. I had a bunch of miles in JetBlue. I'm like, let me use this for something, and then I had to transfer like a couple thousand miles from my credit card from my American Express to JetBlue, because I might have been like 2,000 points short or something. I don't know. So I did that. So my flights here were free. The Airbnbs weren't that bad. I think to stay here for 3 nights, I think it was like $170. That's the nightly cost plus the cleaning fee and whatever taxes. It was like $170. My other Airbnb that I'm going to after this in Cuenca, I can't remember, but I'll report about it in that video. Also, I'm so tired and so hungry. Also last night, I had a 10-hour layover in Fort Lauderdale. That's what I wanted to say. And it was horrible weather in Fort Lauderdale. Like, I've never seen it be that bad. Now, I didn't really know that there's like a hurricane or something happening down there or something like that. But because one of my friends down there had said to me the day before, he's like, I'm surprised your flight hasn't been having delays with this weather. And I'm like, oh, there's bad weather down there? Never had a delay. I left Chicago at 5 a.m. yesterday and flew to Fort Lauderdale. No delays, but I remember being in the sky. I remember waking up and we were like flying in a storm. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Then we land and I'm like, I've never seen the weather this bad in South Florida. Now, I know it can happen because they have hurricanes, but I go to South Florida a lot, and I was actually just there last month. But I've never seen it that bad. And people who live in hot places talk so much shit about the snow, but trust and believe, I way prefer snow over that tropical hurricane rain, okay? Especially when it's lasting all day. That shit is miserable to me. Like, I don't like it. So, then when it was time to leave, my flight took off from Fort Lauderdale at 7 p.m. And we were all and it's still storming. And we were all on the plane. People's phones started beeping with a tornado alert, okay? So a tornado alert came to my phone and said to don't go anywhere, shelter in place, hide, do all this shit. And I'm sitting on an airplane, and they didn't say anything to us about we're not going to take off. So I'm like, we're about to take off right now, and there's tornado warnings coming to all of our phones on the plane. That's crazy. But I trust in commercial aviation, okay? This is the reason why I do not want to fly on private planes and helicopters. Fuck that. No, okay? Because I know with commercial aviation, they barely crash. Whenever there's a commercial plane crash anywhere in the world, it is international news. And that never happens. What happens is private planes crash, okay? Most people who die in plane accidents, they're on a private plane, okay? So I would never mess with a private plane. I like the fact that commercial planes are, safety is a huge thing. You have air traffic control and all the whatever powers and levels of checks that they have to make sure. So I know, I feel like if a commercial plane is going to take off in that weather, then obviously it's okay. You know, and it was okay. But that was really weird to have tornado warnings and we're about to take off. I'm like, oh no. So I had to say that. And this may sound jacked up, but to the people in Florida and all the islands and where you got all these hurricanes, it's like, yo, the hurricanes aren't getting any better. They're only going to get worse because the planet is getting hotter. So my suggestion would be, if you have the means to go somewhere else and live, do that, because you can't expect everyone to keep coming to your rescue all the time. Like, what happens when they don't? You know what I'm saying? I mean, even as an individual, okay, I know that, like, we all need help sometimes. But I have to be able to do enough to be independent, because what if I don't have help? What if nobody's coming to save you? So you have to put yourself in the best possible position. And to me, living on little islands in the middle of the ocean, or living in Florida, especially South Florida, where there's no high ground, there's no higher ground, you're dangling out there in the middle of the ocean, you have no neighboring states, and you have to drive for hours to get out of the state to get to higher ground. It doesn't seem like a smart place to live to me. And the snow, I've never lost power a day in my life. People be having hurricanes, they don't have power for 5 days, for a week. Who got time for that? I'm not feeling that. And every year it's like, oh, it's hurricane season. Be praying for these people, praying for these people. It's a hot mess. I think that's nature trying to tell you, you ain't supposed to be living there. I'm just going to say that, okay? And give me snow over a hurricane any day. So, yeah, so I think I've said what, oh yeah, so, okay, let me finish this. The reason why I came to Ecuador, I wanted to come to a country I've never been before, right? And also, I wanted to come to a country that's weed friendly, all right? I have a lot to say, a lot of videos to make about what I've been learning about international cannabis policies, right? And there are a lot of countries where weed is actually legal, but the laws are different in every country. And so Ecuador was one of those countries where weed is legal, but it's legal like if you're growing it yourself and like consuming it, but it's not legal to sell to anybody, I think. And I think it's not legal to like smoke it outside or something, whatever. So they're not the best laws, okay? But I'm going to come to a weed friendly country. Let me just say that. Yeah, so I think that is oh, then the other thing I wanted to say, the food here is different, okay? I haven't fully gotten the grasp of it, but it's nothing like Colombian food, which is right next to it. It's not like any other Spanish country I've been to. So just now order some food because I'm really hungry and I don't feel like experimenting. So order some Mexican food because you can never go wrong with that, right? And I will do more reports. I'm going to get back. I'm going to do a more in-depth video. Right now I'm sleepy and I'm hungry. I didn't, I need my caffeine in the morning and it's like 2:30 right now here, 3:30 East Coast time, and I have not eaten yet, and I've worked out, because let me tell you, like, I cannot stand food in South Florida, and I ordered some food yesterday in South Florida that was absolutely horrible, and I was starving. I was absolutely starving, because today's Wednesday, so on Monday I did an intense leg workout, and being hungry is one thing, but when I'm hungry if I've been working out, especially my legs, that hunger is a whole nother level of indescribable hunger. So I was starving yesterday, and I ordered some Peruvian food because I love Peruvian food, and it was absolutely the worst Peruvian food I've ever had in my life, okay? So I was so hungry, and I went to the airport. Fort Lauderdale Airport doesn't have good food. Well, not the terminal I was flying out of, which is Terminal 4. Terminal 2 has a Shake Shack at least. I would have at least gotten some cheese fries and milkshake and and a burger. Because Shake Shack is, I don't eat McDonald's, I don't eat Burger King, I don't eat Popeyes, I don't eat KFC. I don't care how hungry I am or where I'm at. I swear to you, I do not eat that shit. I have not eaten McDonald's since I was like 17, all right? But I will eat Shake Shack. And I was like, I need a burger, I need some cheese, I need some milk, I need some ice cream, I need some shit's gonna hit that's gonna like stick to my gut. But it wasn't in my terminal. So Terminal 4 where Spirit Airlines flies, there's sucky food. I had to find something basic to try to kill my hunger. I'm drinking bottles of yogurt that I got from the supermarket. I'm still hungry. So the one good thing I can say is that I'm glad that I got to order some food from Rappi, because I'm too hungry right now to try to walk outside and try to navigate and find food and negotiate with people. And it's just like, I need to eat. And I'm going to do work, because when I travel, it's not like, I'm not the kind of traveler that's like, oh, I'm on vacation and I'm just going to go explore all day. No, when I'm on vacation, when I travel, I'm still working, right? Because I have several businesses. I'm also in school, right? Whew. And getting my assignment done yesterday last minute was stressful. I was so tired because I left at 5 in the morning and didn't go to sleep on Monday night. Left my house at 3 in the morning to make this 5 a.m. flight. Slept on the plane, which is like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour flight from Chicago to Fort Lauderdale. And then the whole day I was up, I was tired. But when I flew here from Fort Lauderdale to Guayaquil, Ecuador, it was like 3.5 hours. I had to stay awake the whole time on the plane because I had schoolwork to do. And I was deliriously tired. I was hungry, I was tired. I was like, this assignment is due today. I've got to get it done. And I told myself never to do that again. And somehow I got my dates mixed up. I don't know. But thus far, I'm doing well in my class, my schoolwork, but it's a struggle. So while I'm here, I'm doing work. I'm working on my online classes, doing research. You know, I can't help the fact that I'm a nerd. And everywhere I like to go, I like to know about the history, the food that they eat. Not just the kinds of foods they eat, but like the quality of the foods that they eat and access and all of that. Since I'm going to Cuenca on Friday, I think hopefully I'll be able to find some dancing, because it'll be a Friday night. There's a lot of black people in Cuenca. And whenever you go to a city with a lot of black people, okay, you're going to have good dancing. So hopefully that. So I feel like in Guayaquil, like earlier today, I'm like, I just want to leave here. But I'm just going to chill out. I'm just going to get some work done today. Eat, try to recover from yesterday, okay? And then maybe tomorrow, like, explore more around here. And I've decided that I just want to take an Uber. I'm not going to listen to my host who says that Ubers are unsafe and people get kidnapped, because with the taxis, you know, you got to explain too much and they be trying to haggle you for money and nobody got no change. I got a $20 bill. Nobody has change for a 20. Even if I'm paying $5, nobody has a change. Even when I was trying to order an Uber Eats, okay, it told me that if I pay with cash, okay, because they have cash as an option, which we don't. Because for some reason, entering my card, I was having problems, so I said, okay, let me pay with cash. But then they tell you, they give you a note on Uber Eats that says, if you pay with cash, the driver won't have, you know, you have to have exact change in case the delivery person doesn't have change, and they very likely may not have change. And I'm just like, God damn. So I can't order with cash because I don't got no change. Actually, when I took the taxi here last night, the dude didn't have no change after my host told me that he would. Now, why are you picking people up from the airport? How does that make any sense? You're picking up people from the airport who are visiting and you don't have any change. You expect everybody to have exact change. That's so asinine. I feel like people be doing that on purpose to try to make you pay more money. I really do. So he didn't have no change. It was a problem because I wasn't giving him $20. And the co-host came out and she was like, she had the $5, so she paid him. So annoying stuff though, right? But I can definitely say that traveling internationally, it just, you know, they say it's not about where you're from, it's where you're at. Like the rules every place are different, how people do things. Some shit may not make sense to you. Like the doors here, I also noticed this in Colombia. I also noticed this in Cuba and in Europe. When I was in France, when I was in Paris, when I was in London, So this must be a very European thing where you need a key to unlock the door to get out. So when you want to leave out, you have to use the key to unlock the door to get out of the apartment. Then you have another key to unlock to get out of the house. Then you have another key to unlock to get out of the gate, which to me is dangerous because if there's a fire or somebody's after you or whatever, you can't get out of here easily. What if you wake up in the middle of the night and there's a fire and you don't even know where the hell you put the keys? You can't just open the door and run out. So I don't understand the logic behind that. I remember when I was in Paris, this was in 2019, I went to Paris from Amsterdam, and I had got robbed in Amsterdam. This little Italian man stole my phone. So when I went to Paris, I didn't have a cell phone, and a friend of mine hooked me up with this Congolese dude to stay at his house the first night, so I could get a temporary phone the next day and get my bearings. I wish I stayed in touch with him because he was cool, but he didn't really speak much English, and I definitely don't speak French. But it was interesting because he was looking at my Instagram, and I remember him saying to me that he had so many things he wanted to talk to me about, but his English wasn't good enough, and it was like kind of frustrating because we both wanted to like communicate, but we couldn't. But what I do remember is, I have so many stories. What I do remember is the next morning, I woke up and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I found another Airbnb and I'm like, I'm gonna go. And I messaged him and he told me, oh, you can't leave until I come back. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, like you need the key to get out. And I remember being like, what I'm locked in this shit? Like I'm locked in this apartment. So I'm hungry. I'm looking out the window, looking at the stores downstairs. Can't go downstairs to get food. Can't go downstairs to get anything to drink. Can't leave the damn apartment. If a fire were to start in this apartment, I can't get out of it. I don't understand that logic. You never see that in America. How you need a key to get out of the apartment and get out of the building? That just is crazy. What if you have an abusive boyfriend or girlfriend and they take your keys and throw them the fuck out the window and you guys are fighting? You can't get out. There's so many problems, okay? So many problems with being locked inside of a damn apartment. But again, it's not where you promise where you're at. So when you travel internationally, there's a lot of things in other countries that don't make any sense. Like this address situation, why I spent hours this morning and I still couldn't tell you the address. If I leave here right now and go to a different area, and then it's time for me to come back, I can't explain to them where the hell I came from. That's a problem. So that makes me not want to leave. It makes me just want to stay in this apartment, okay, this Airbnb, and do my work, and be like, I'm good on Guayaquil. Let me just do my work until it's time for me to go on to the next city. I don't want to be like that because I remember the first time I came to Cali, Colombia. The first time I had heard about Cali for years. And I had this beautiful image in my head. And the first time I came to Cali, Colombia, I was depressed. I remember I did a YouTube video about that back then. That might have been like 2018, or I have it on my other YouTube page. I should upload it here. But I remember complaining about how I did not like Cali. I'm like, why am I here? This place is horrible. I wanted to leave because it was so ugly. Okay, the stuff that I was seeing, I was just like the ugliest place ever. But the thing about Cali, I've been to Cali like 3 or 4 times now. The thing about Cali is that some parts of it, like if you're driving on like major roads, it looks like the ugliest place on earth. But then when you turn the corners turn on the streets off the major roads, it's beautiful. So it's like this drastic, ugly and beautiful thing going on in Cali, right? But when stuff is ugly, and no offense, I'm just being honest. Because some people, when they report and traveling, they act like everything is great, right? But I feel like ugly in the Caribbean or in Costa Rica or South America is like a different level of ugly with the cities. I remember with Costa Rica, like San Jose, not a pretty city. And people think, oh, Costa Rica, they think everything's beautiful. Not in San Jose, okay? Definitely not. So it's like that basic, and that's how a lot of South Florida looks like to me, like this, like these basic looking little concrete, simple little structures that aren't beautiful at all. I don't know, but it's weird because Cuba's not like that, right? Cuba's not like that. Cuba has like big, grandiose structures and nice architecture. So I'm like, why is Cuba like that? But other Spanish-speaking countries are not. I don't understand. And Miami's so close to Cuba, but yet they didn't get any of that architecture. It's like whoever said Miami just didn't care. Now, if you're in Miami and you have a lot of money, you're rich, that's different. But like the typical house in South Florida, no. So I just like beauty. That's why I really love Mexico City. It's a beautiful city. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about Guayaquil right now. Have you been to Guayaquil? And if so, what did you think of it? Have you been to Ecuador, other parts of Ecuador, and what did you think of it? Where'd you go? Let me know. And I'll report back when I have something else to say. All right, people? After this, I'm going to Senegal. And this morning, the way I felt, I'm like, I almost wanted to, like, it's like I travel, but then sometimes I'm like, I'll travel someplace and be like, why am I here? I should be home. Because I like being home, too. You know what I'm saying? I like being home in the comfort of my own home with the food that I want to eat, with my raw milk, and all those things. Sometimes you don't like the food in the country you go to. I'm a picky eater. I'm not somebody who just likes everything, you know. And these Spanish-speaking countries, they love sugar. Like, people better not talk about Americans and our sugary diets. No. The type of sugary shit, but at the same time, they eat a lot of organ meats. So maybe the organ meats they're eating is balancing it out. I'm not going to get too much into that here because that's from my page, The Body Scientist. If you don't follow me on my page, The Body Scientist, _body_scientist, follow me there because that's where I get into more in the health science things and analyzing foods and stuff like that. Okay. But yeah, I'm so hungry right now. My brain is shutting down. So I'm gonna go, I'm gonna eat. I'll report back to you when I can. Let me know if you have anything to say about Ecuador and Guayaquil. And I'll see you in my next video. I should try French Guiana. French Guiana has never come up in my mind as a place I wanted to go. Why should I go to French Guiana? I'm going to Senegal and I don't speak French. But Senegal has really beautiful black people, okay? Now, again, I don't want to offend anybody, but not every country is full of beautiful people. Sorry. I want to go Senegal. There's beautiful people, beautiful men, beautiful women. People are just beautiful. And there's a lot of Senegalese people in Harlem. My mom and I used to go to. There was this French bakery in Harlem that my mom and I. That was like run by Senegalese. My mom and I used to go there and just look at the women because they're just so beautiful. Like these women are gorgeous. The men are gorgeous too, but it's just like they're just gorgeous people. And the thing about Senegal is that they have a strong salsa scene, and I've known that for years. And I love salsa and African salsa. So. And I've always heard great things about Dakar for everybody that's been there and that it's safe to travel there by myself, even though I don't speak no French. So that's my next stop after I leave Ecuador. But yeah, I'm going to navigate this and I'll report back to you when I can. And I hope you all have a great day. Bye.